Okay, so I was just interested in the 49th episode of South Park. I mean, it used to be one of my favorite shows, whatever, but check this out. 49th episode. Look when it came out. On 4 5, 45. I've talked about how 45 and 49 go together. I mean, just what are the odds of that? So the 49th episode comes out on 4 5. And this whole episode is Cartman loses a tooth and gets money, so basically they try to find a bunch of teeth so they can make money. And uh, eventually, Cartman's mom calls the dentist and says that Cartman's lost 112 teeth, and she's worried about it. 112 is huge, 11, 2, 22. I know it's 11, 12. Like November 12th is there's 49 days left until the end of the year. But once again, this episode deals with time, space, and time, not necessarily time travel, but when Cartman eventually finds out that the Tooth Fairy isn't real, and he tells all of his friends, and Kyle freaks out and starts reading like crazy books. I'll just pull it up in a second, show you like what books, and he's like, maybe I don't even exist, and blah blah blah. And it's all, and he talks about space, time, and whatnot. Imagine that on the 49th episode. And then they join the mob, kind of Tooth Fairy tooth stealing, and the mob boss is Loogie, and let's see here, the guy who voices Loogie, and when I think of Loogie, I think of snot and green, but that doesn't have to mean much. But he was born on August 4th, 8/4, Obama's birthday, 1944. Obama, 44th president. That's the same birthday. That's half of 88. All kinds of stuff. But they even do the 15 references a couple times in this episode again. Right here, Cartman throws Chef money or whatever because they're pimps now or whatever. Or they're mobsters. And Chef says, "Oh man, children, that's got to be at least $15 right here." But earlier, when Cartman's mom calls the dentist and she says that he lost, 112 teeth, she also says that he lost 15 of them in one day. And then here's an example of Kyle reading space time travel books or whatever. So it says Space, Time, and Quantum Theory. And he reads multiple books like this throughout the rest of the episode. I also forgot to mention this guy who voiced the Loogie. He's actually famous for a radio show called. He was featured on National Lampoon Radio Hour, and National Lampoon Radio Hour. It had Chevy Chase and Bill Murray, who was pretty big. I've been talked about him a lot. But it was created by this guy, Michael O'Donoghue. And he died on 11/8 in 1994 even. So the Mirror of 49, he died on 11/8/88. And he was 54. And 54 is love. Anyway, I think that's about all I noticed in this episode. Just wanted to point it out. I mean, it's the 49th episode, and it's about, they talk about imaginary things, space, quantum theory and whatnot. I mean, what are the odds of that? I mean, it's just strange. So last thing I wanted to talk about was this other movie that has the November 5th date in it that came out in 1979, and it's basically the whole movie's about H.G. Wells, and he builds a time machine, and he goes to 1979 because Jack the Ripper stole his time machine and went to 1979, and he's basically going there to stop him. But whatever. 1979 it's interesting, I guess, because it's 79 is the 22nd prime number. The movie is also 112 minutes long, 11/2/22. But what I found the most interesting about it is he traveled to November 5th, 1979, at least in the beginning. And he ends up in San Francisco in a museum. And I mean, it's just kind of weird how they chose San Francisco, considering H.G. Wells was in England or whatever, Britain, and Jack the Ripper was an England thing. But in the movie, they actually mention that the time change is 8 hours difference, so they had to throw an 8 in there. Maybe that's why they chose the Pacific Coast, but even so, why San Francisco? So right in the beginning of this film, he's walking downstairs to show them his time machine, all these guys. And he turns on the light and he says, "Electric light." And they say, "Yes, Thomas Edison, the modern Prometheus." And I'd made a video a long time ago about is Frank Lucifer? And because Frankenstein is actually the doctor and he creates the monster or whatever. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff with it. The original Frankenstein book was called Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. Even the saying like "let's be frank," like let's be honest or let's tell the truth, just a bunch of things. But look at Thomas Edison here, born February 11th, so 2/11. There's a 22. October 18th, 1931. He died at age 84. Talked about 1984, Obama was born on 8/4, tons of other things. October 18th is also what I talked about, where it's the 52nd day plus 239 days is October 18th. So I guess the year is 1893, and then he's supposed to go to 1979, and they show it right here. But then before he leaves, they show a completely different date, which is kind of strange considering absolutely no time or only like a few minutes or hours have passed. And but anyway, it's 1893 November 5th, just to show you, and then 1979 November 5th. And here's what I'm talking about. Not even 2 minutes later in the movie, he gets in there to go find Jack the Ripper or whatever. And all of a sudden it says 1895 instead of 93, November 5th. It also says April 8th, which is 4/8, the 98th day of the year. 49 and 49 is 98. Another weird thing about this movie is it's all about he's going to the future to find Jack the Ripper, to stop Jack the Ripper. But if you look up Jack the Ripper, it talks about Jack the Ripper killing in 1888. So there's the 88. I guess what's interesting too about Jack the Ripper is that just last year, 2014, the big year with the 88s and whatnot, they supposedly found out who the actual Jack the Ripper really is by DNA evidence, and it's Aaron Kosminski or something like that. Yeah, Aaron Kosminski. I don't know, just kind of last year was a big year with 88 and time travel and whatnot, and then this movie is all about time travel and Jack the Ripper. Kind of weird. I also found it kind of weird that H.G. Wells died when he was 79 years old, and then this movie came out in 1979. And also, it says he was born in 1866. So in this movie, if he time traveled in 1893, that means he would have been 27 years old when he left. And I talked about this as a 27th year. Also, if he traveled on November 5th, 1893, not only would it have been his 27th birthday, it would have been 27 and 45 days. So 45 days after his 27th birthday. And I've talked about 45 being significant. Another interesting thing is that if he went from 1893 to 1979, that's 86 years. And if you add up H.G. Wells, just in simple gematria, it's 86. And then even right here, when he first gets to San Francisco, he's in a museum, and it's all about him. And it says H.G. Wells, age 67, and it has a picture of him. But just funny, the age 67. Right here it has a TV for $440. 40 there's your 44. Right here he takes some stuff to the jeweler, and he zooms in on the jeweler's tattoo, and it says 371560. If you add that up, it's 22. This movie came out in 79. 22 is the 70. I can't even talk. 79 is the 22nd prime number. I just thought it was kind of funny too. Right here he gets into this taxi cab, and the number's 369. That's like the Tesla reference. And in the very beginning of the movie, they talk about Edison being the modern Prometheus. And I mean, I'm not even gonna explain that, but I mean, you can look it up, Edison and Tesla and whatever. But just kind of funny, he gets in 369 car. Also, it seems kind of strange. This movie came out before Back to the Future, and he falls in love with this lady right here. And this is Doc Brown's wife in Back to the Future Part 3. And he goes back to, I believe 1895. And then this guy's supposed to be from 1893, but they do show 1895 on the time machine, like I was showing you. And then they travel back in time on November 5th. So just kind of weird that this lady plays in both of these movies. And then he goes to jail, and right here's his jail number, 57043. 5743 is if you do a Hebrew calendar to Gregorian calendar, it actually converts to 1982. So it seems like a pattern of 82 in these movies. And the last thing I'm just going to talk about is that lady actually plays his real life wife, Amy Robbins, and it says she died in 1927 here, and then he died in 1946. But interesting that she died in 1927 because that's 88 years ago. That's why this is a 27 year. Even 1927 to 1979 is 52 years. So, I mean, the 52 is really significant this year for whatever the reason. Anyway, probably didn't say enough, or I feel like I didn't really elaborate enough to make this make that much sense. I understand it myself, but it's just so long, and also I just find it very strange that all these time travel movies, these 3 time travel movies, all have the date of November 5th. Like what exactly is the purpose? I mean, there's a ton of things you have V for Vendetta and whatnot, but they all use November 5th, so it's definitely a significant day with time travel. And also, I mean, what all started this was when I re-looked up that movie. I'm telling you, it is Lynn Swann, and now it's Lyle Swann. I mean, who knows? Like I said, I could be wrong, but I just have this like strong feeling that for some reason the guy's name was Lynn, and now it's Lyle. It just blows me away. So I just figured I'd make a video. Anyway, have a great night.